Hello everyone, in this video we'll talk about psychology glossary. Okay, here we start. Identity, the distinguishing character of the individual who each of us is, what our roles are, and what we are capable of. Incongruent attitude change in a direction opposite to that of the existing attitude. Individual differences, distinctiveness and unique variations among people's characteristics and behavior patterns. Individual test, a test that must be given to a single individual at a time, typically by a specially trained person. The Binet and Wechsler intelligence test are example of individual test. Industrial organizational psychology, a subfield of psychology that focuses on relationship between people and work. In the contemporary context, this emphasizes has shifted from industrial psychology to organizational psychology, which includes industrial and all other organizations. Inferiority complex. According to Adler, a complex developed by adults who have not been able to overcome the feelings of inferiority they developed as children when they were small and limited in their knowledge about the world. Intergroup, it's in group, the social group to which an individual perceives herself himself as belonging us, the group with which one identifies the other group are outgroups. Instrumental perspective, the approach that suggests that the physical environment exists mainly for the use of human beings for their comfort and well-being. Intellectual disability, sub-average in intellectual functioning combined with applying varying degrees are deficit in adaptive behavior. Intellectual giftedness, exceptional general intellectual efficiency shown in superior performance in which a wide range of tasks. Intelligence, the capacity to understand the world, to think rationally, and to use resources effectively when faced with challenges. Intelligence quotient, an index derived from standardized intelligence test indicating a ratio of mental age to chronicle age. Intelligence test designed to measure person's level of intelligence, interest, and individual preference for one or more specific activities. Interview, verbal interaction between a respondent and a researchers to gather information about the respondent. Introversions, one of the dimensions of personality in which interests are directed inwards rather than outwards. Extrovert, kernel of truth, the small element of truth that may be perceived in overgeneralized clusters of beliefs about groups. Stereotypes, latency period, in Freud's theory of psychosexual stage, the period between the phallic stage and the mature genital stage period from age 4 to 5, about to 12, during which interest in sex is sublimated. Libido. Freud introduced this term in Freud's treatment. Libido was quite simply a direct or indirect sexual expressions. Life skill, abilities for adaptive and positive behavior that enable individuals to deal effectively with the environment. Lifestyle, in the context of health psychology, the overall pattern of decisions and behavior that determines health and quality of life. Meditations, a technique of turning one's concentration inward and achieving an altered state of consciousness. Mental age, MA, a measure of intellectual functioning expressed in terms of age. Meta needs, in the hierarchy of needs, those at the top, such as self actualizations, self esteem, aesthetic needs, and the like, which can only be satisfied when lower order needs are satisfied. Modeling, a process of learning in which an individual acquires response by observing and imitating others. Neurodevelopmental disorder. These disorders are characterized by symptoms appearing in the early stage of development. They affect the personal, social, and academic and occupational functioning of the individual. Experiential intelligence in Sternberg's triarchic theory. It is the ability to use past experiences, creativity to solve novel problems. Extroversion, one of the dimensions of personality in which interests are directed outwards to nature and other people rather than inwards to the thoughts and feelings of self introvert. Extremeness of attitude refers to how far an attitude is from the natural point. Factor analysis, mathematical procedure involving correlations for sorting trait terms or test response into cluster of factors used in the development of tests designed to discover basic personality trait. It identifies items that are homogeneous, are internally consistent and independent of others. Fluid intelligence, ability to perceive complex relationships, reason abstractly and solve problems. Free associations are psychodynamic techniques in which the patient describes verbally and any thoughts, feelings, or image that comes to mind, even if it seems unimportant. Fundamental attributions error. The tendency to attribute internal cause more than external cause for behavior. General adaptation syndrome, GAS. It consists of three phases: an alarm phase which promotes sympathetic nervous system activity, a resistance phase during which the organism makes efforts to cope with the threat, and exhaustion phase which occurs in the organism fails to overcome the threat and depletes its physiological resources. Genetics, the study of how the qualities of living things are passed on in their genes. Gestalt therapy, an approach to therapy that attempts to integrate a client's thoughts, feelings, and behavior into a unified whole. G factor, general intelligence factor referring to a basic intellectual capacity underlying all manifestations of intelligence. Group, two or more persons who interact with one another, have shared goals, are interdependent and consider themselves as member of group. Group test, a test designed to be administered to more than one individual at the same time. In contrast to individual test, groupthink, a mode of thinking in which the desire to reach unanimous agreement overrides the wish to adopt proper rational decision making procedure. An example of group polarizations. Hallucination, a false perception which has a compulsive sense of the reality of object, although relevant and adequate stimuli for such perception is lacking. It is an abnormal phenomena. Halo effect, the tendency to link positive qualities with other positive qualities about which information is not available. Hardiness, it is a set of beliefs about oneself, the world, and how they interact. It has three characteristics, that is, commitment, control, and challenge. Homeostasis, status, a state of physiological balance within the body. Humanistic approach, the theory that people are basically good and tend to grow to higher levels of functioning. Humanistic therapy, a therapy in which the underlying assumptions is that people have control over their behavior, can make choices about their lives, and are essentially responsible for solving their own problems. It, according to Freud, the impulsive and unconscious part of the psyche that operates through the pleasure principle toward the gratifications of instinctual drive. The id is conceived as the true unconscious or the deepest part of the psyche. Ideal self, the kind of persons we would like to be, also called ego ideal, idealized self image, identification, the process of feeling one with another person, usually resulting from liking or extreme regard for the other person. Thank you.